What if the United States suddenly disappeared from the world stage tomorrow? Which countries would struggle to survive without its military power, economic support, or global influence? In today's video, we dive into 10 nations that, in the year 2025, rely heavily on Washington for their security, prosperity, and even their very survival. Throughout modern history, the United States has positioned itself as more than just a superpower. It has become a lifeline for allies facing hostile neighbors, fragile economies, and uncertain futures. For some countries, America isn't just a partner, it is the very backbone that keeps their governments stable, their people safe, and their economies alive. But this dependence is a double-edged sword. On one hand, American support brings stability, protection, and growth. On the other hand, it creates a situation where these nations cannot stand fully on their own. Without the shadow of American military bases, aid packages, and political pressure, their survival could be at risk. So today, let's ask the big question: which countries lean so heavily on the United States that losing its support would feel like losing their shield against the storms of global politics? Get ready, because what you're about to discover might change the way you see America's role in the world. Here are 10 countries that depend on the United States for survival in 2025. Number 10. Pakistan. Despite its complex relationship with Washington, Pakistan still relies on the United States for survival. From financial aid and development assistance to military cooperation, American influence shapes the country's ability to withstand economic crises and regional instability. Washington also plays a role in balancing Pakistan's delicate position between India and Afghanistan, ensuring Islamabad does not collapse under internal and external pressures. In 2025, Pakistan's survival remains linked to how closely it manages its relationship with Washington. Number 9. Poland. Poland, positioned at NATO's eastern flank, depends heavily on the United States for its defense against potential Russian aggression. American troops, bases, and military hardware are a constant reminder that Warsaw is not alone. Economically, U.S. partnerships ensure Poland remains strong within the European Union and connected to global markets. For Poland, America is more than just an ally, it is the guarantor of sovereignty in the face of historic threats from the East. Number 8. Afghanistan. Even after the American withdrawal, Afghanistan's survival in 2025 is still tied to Washington. Humanitarian aid, financial support, and international recognition depend largely on American influence. While the country struggles under Taliban rule, many of its essential systems, from food aid to healthcare, are supported by funds flowing from Washington and its allies. Without this lifeline, Afghanistan risks deeper collapse, famine, and isolation from the world stage. Number 7. Philippines. The Philippines relies on the United States for protection in the South China Sea, where territorial disputes with China threaten its sovereignty. Washington's military presence ensures Manila's maritime rights are defended and acts as a counterbalance to Beijing's growing influence. Beyond security, the U.S. plays a major role in trade, remittances, and development programs that sustain the Filipino economy. For millions of Filipinos, ties with America are more than diplomatic, they are essential for their country's survival in a competitive Asia. Number 6. Saudi Arabia. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia depends on Washington for both military protection and economic balance. Despite its oil wealth, Saudi Arabia's survival in a volatile Middle East requires American weapons, training, and strategic partnerships. The United States provides security guarantees that deter regional rivals like Iran and ensure Saudi influence over global energy markets. Additionally, U.S. investment and technology aid Saudi Arabia's ambitious modernization plans. Without this support, Riyadh would face severe challenges in defending itself and maintaining its regional dominance. Number 5. Japan. Japan, despite its strong economy, depends on Washington for defense. Its constitution limits its military capabilities, making the American presence indispensable. U.S. forces stationed across Japanese islands serve as a shield not only against potential threats from North Korea but also growing tensions with China. Economically, Japan's partnership with the United States ensures steady trade, technology cooperation, and stability in the Pacific. Without Washington's umbrella, Tokyo would face immense pressure to remilitarize and navigate dangerous waters alone. Number 4. Ukraine. In the wake of ongoing conflict with Russia, Ukraine's survival depends heavily on American assistance. Washington supplies Kyiv with weapons, intelligence, and financial aid that allow it to resist Russian aggression. The United States also rallies international coalitions, imposing sanctions on Moscow and ensuring Ukraine remains connected to Western economies. Without America's involvement, Ukraine would risk falling under Russia's control, losing its sovereignty and independence. The partnership goes beyond military aid; it represents Ukraine's hope for a democratic, independent future. Number 3. Taiwan. Taiwan's survival is constantly threatened by China's growing military and political pressure. The United States acts as Taipei's strongest protector, supplying advanced weapons, training, and international recognition that China attempts to erase. American naval patrols in the Pacific also serve as a warning to Beijing that any attempt to take Taiwan by force would trigger a serious response. Beyond security, American trade is vital for Taiwan's high-tech industries, especially its global dominance in semiconductors. In 2025, Taiwan's ability to remain independent hinges on Washington's continued support. Number 2. Israel. For decades, Israel has relied on Washington as its most powerful ally. Surrounded by hostile neighbors and ongoing regional conflicts, Israel depends on the United States for defense technology, intelligence cooperation, and strategic protection at the United Nations. From advanced missile defense systems to diplomatic cover, America's role is essential for Israel's security. Economically, the partnership ensures Israel remains one of the most technologically advanced countries in the Middle East. Without Washington's backing, Israel's enemies would likely intensify their efforts to destabilize it, making survival far more difficult. Number 1. South Korea. South Korea stands at the edge of constant tension with its northern neighbor. Its survival depends not only on its own resilience but also on the unwavering presence of American military forces stationed across its territory. The United States provides Seoul with a protective shield, advanced weapon systems, and the deterrence factor that keeps North Korea from launching full-scale aggression. Beyond military power, Washington also supports South Korea's economy through trade partnerships, technology exchanges, and investments that sustain its rapid modernization. Without the United States, South Korea would face an unpredictable and dangerous reality, where its very independence could be challenged overnight. As we've seen, the United States is not just a superpower, it is a lifeline for nations scattered across the globe. From Asia to the Middle East, from Europe to the Pacific, many countries depend on Washington for their defense, their economies, and even their political survival. But this dependence raises important questions. Can these nations ever stand on their own without America's shield? What happens if U.S. priorities shift or if Washington decides to step back from its role as global protector? For some, the very idea is terrifying because it means their survival could collapse overnight. The reality is clear: in 2025, America's influence stretches far beyond its borders. Its decisions affect not only its own people but also millions of lives in countries that rely on it to stay afloat. Whether through military bases, financial support, or diplomatic protection, the United States remains the anchor that keeps these nations from drifting into chaos. So the next time you hear about American foreign policy, remember, it's not just about America. It's about the survival of nations that cannot afford to lose the power, protection, and presence of the United States.